What's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in real life. I'm doing another Beyond the Mic episode. This is like my third or fourth one that I've done. I don't do them too often, but I do like to touch base with you guys, talking about my life, about things that I'm thinking about, things that I'm worried about, things that I'm happy about, and just keeping you up to date with what's going on inside my mind, which is certainly an active one. I'm one of those anxious people by nature. One thing is I have that leg thing where it's always kind of, my leg is always moving. In fact, I was at breakfast a couple days ago, and I was just trying to catch up with social media and stuff like that. I was sitting at the bar at a breakfast, area, and the lady 2 seats down from me was like, "Excuse me, can you stop doing that with your leg?" Like, apparently I was like so bad that the whole table was shaking. So today is going to be unscripted, meaning that I hit record and I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Obviously, I do know what's going on in my life, and that's what I want to kind of update you guys on. But you guys know that, when I do these, it takes a lot out of me, honestly. I can't even watch my previous two Beyond the Mic episodes. I haven't watched them, and I'm not going to watch this one either. It's almost therapeutic in a way for me, but one thing I don't do is just give surface thoughts and cliches. I go deep and hardcore. So, viewer warning is that I tend to just let it all out in these type of videos. It's not going to be, super feel good. At the same time, it's not going to be super depressing, hopefully at least. So anyway, let's get into it. So where am I in life right now? So today is an interesting day for me. It's October 23rd at the time that I record this video. I lost my mom on the 22nd, and my mom's birthday is the 24th. So I'm in that kind of strange in-between day between when she passed and when she was born, which is, it kind of gives me pause to reflect on what type of impact she had on my life. And it's weird, something I struggle with. So you guys know that I lost both my mother and my brother last year, and my mom 7 years ago now. It feels legit like just yesterday. It's so crazy. But either way, it's interesting when you talk about grieving for a loved one, and hopefully you guys have never had to go through the loss of someone really close to you. And by the way, this video isn't going to be entirely about me losing my family members, but I did want to, it's always the number one thing in my mind when I think about my life and where it could have been, and how people have impacted it and how things have changed. But it's interesting. I think about my mom all the time, and she was someone who obviously I loved dearly. And I think about her, and I think happy thoughts, and I also think sad thoughts around the time that she passed, and incredible pain, age 48, from lung cancer as a non-smoker. But I guess I'm okay with that, meaning that, I've come to through the grieving process, I've come to kind of deal with it, I guess, as best you can, which sounds weird when you talk about the death of a loved one. You never truly deal with it, but it's something that I've learned to cope with a little bit, But my brother, Sean, I can't even think about him. It's so weird. Even for a moment, 10 seconds, if I see his picture or something, I break up. It's too much for me still to even to think about. And I guess a therapist would say that's a really bad thing. You're supposed to kind of confront your emotions and feel, and not be afraid to feel things. But I'm just not ready for it, So it's something I don't even talk about, even to my own family, because it just hurts too much. It hurts too much for me. So I do, between anxiety and depression, I'm still struggling as a person on that regard. I feel like there's almost a separation in my life from when I lost my mother, right? And then there was Tim before that and Tim after that. And then there was another kind of big dramatic moment of the sudden passing of my 28-year-old brother, who was autistic, and he died from epilepsy. He had a seizure and his heart stopped afterwards. And that, for me, losing Sean was just another changing point in my life, where things will never be the same. I don't feel like the same person as I was 2 years ago, and the same thing for my mom. So that change in life is something that I struggle with really, really greatly. It's I don't know. It's something that I don't feel like I'm just. I guess a weird way to put it would be losing your innocence for the world, right? I think that I had such a good, positive, and kind of carefree outlook on the world. Although I've always been a very existential person, meaning that I'm always looking for a deeper meaning in the world. But beyond that, I've always been kind of carefree and kind of hopefully optimistic and positive. But that's been drained from me, unfortunately, and I wish it wasn't the case. And that's what I'm trying to hopefully get back. So, other than that, I'm going through the transition of leaving the post office after 13 years. Now, the post office was not a job that I was ever proud about, honestly. It was a job that, paid the bills and had a good long-term stability. There's nothing to be ashamed of being a mail carrier, but I always thought that I wasn't living up to my full potential, meaning that when I, met someone new and I said, "Oh, I'm a mail carrier," it just never I felt like I was letting myself down. And again, that's nothing against mail carriers. They do a great job. I did it for 13 years and I loved the job because I made the most of it. Listened to audiobooks, listened to podcasts, talked to my best friend, who's also a mail carrier, so it worked out. But, I think that transitioning away from the post office, because I resigned, which is something that no one does from the post office. Once you're in for over a decade, you're usually in. But, I started this thing called YouTube 3-4 years ago now as just a side hobby. And it took off to the extent where I was able to create other opportunities for myself around my YouTube channel. And then that led me to where I am today, where I am in the position of leaving the post office. However, you would think that leaving the post office for me would mean that I'm living my dream and everything's perfect now, but it's not like that. Now I have a family, and of course we're going to get to that in a second, but I have a son now who I have to support, and the lack of long-term stability that the post office offered in YouTube and jobs around YouTube is scary to me still, and it's something that I'm still adjusting to. And even being behind a desk 12-13 hours a day as I am right now is a big change for me compared to walking outside all day every day. I had a walking route with no vehicle, so it's just a push cart on my mail route, and it was on hills, so it was a lot of exercise. I was always really fit. I've gained like 30 pounds, albeit I'm still working out every day. I'm lifting every day. I love the gym. It's my release. But man, it's tough to keep weight off now that my body's trying to adjust to not walking 8 miles a day. So it's something I got to get better at. So the job wise, it's interesting and it's fun and it's cool that I'm doing this full time. I actually just accepted a job at Tencent, who is really the largest mobile game developer in the world. They're a Chinese-based company, and they're going to be releasing Arena of Valor into North America pretty soon, and I'll be the community manager of Arena of Valor for Tencent. I'm also the community manager and deal with all sorts of things over at PlexChat, which is a startup company out of San Francisco, which I'm really passionate about as well. They have a really strong mission that really resonates with me. The CEO, Sean, there actually got the job from Powerbank Gaming, a great YouTuber and friend as well. And it's something that they've really made me a believer in their product and what they're trying to do, which is build communities, which really I found is my niche in the mobile world as well. Like I really enjoy working with other content creators. I'm not the best player at any of the games that I cover. So what am I going to offer? And I think that networking is one of the things that I'm able to offer. So that is my job situation. So we're still trying to, and of course I'm still working with Bren Chong and Nova Esports as well. Anthony and Bren have been a godsend to me and my family. So providing me opportunities in promotional and also giving me opportunities to create and build more communities. So I have, some eggs in different baskets, all of which I'm super passionate about. So I owe a big thank you again to Sean at PlexChat, to everybody at Supercell for giving me the opportunity to cover their games on YouTube. And of course to Bren, who was like the first guy who really came up to me and said, I believe in you and I want to help you do this. So I got so lucky along the way, so lucky. And then most recently, again, Anthony at Nova and also Tencent. So I've really gotten super lucky along the way. And I guess what I feel that I have, what a lot of people in this industry are lacking, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, because not everybody's lacking it, and you can tell really easily who is and who isn't. But it's grit. I think that grit in life is what you really need to move, to get stuff done, right? And I think that, what do I mean by that? I think that to have grit means that you're willing and able to do something with 100% effort without expecting immediate dividends. So sure, grit is a big hot button word in the ecosystem right now, in society. Oh, do you have grit? Do you have grit? Do you have grit? But it really does mean something. I think that, at risk of alienating 99% of you, I think that millennials lack a lot of grit and stoicism. In this social media age, I think that it's so easy to complain about things, right? And to only share the good things in your life. That's why I do videos like this, so I can just be real and share 100%, whether you like it or you hate it, just what I'm thinking and what I'm going through, whether it's good or bad. So I think that having grit in YouTube, or if you're having grit in whatever you're doing in law school, it doesn't matter. You just have to be able to do something, have the initiative to do stuff without getting paid, basically, right? I had a YouTube channel for almost a year before I reached even 5,000 subscribers. It's crazy. I did this for a long time without immediate dividends, and it all paid off in the end. And I learned a lot going through this process. One thing I learned is how to deal with trolls and haters, right? And it's something that I've given this advice a lot to other content creators who I work with, and I'll give it to all of you guys as well, because maybe you're going through something in life where nothing's working. Maybe you're getting bullied. Maybe you're getting picked on. Maybe you're going through issues with coworkers or with your boss or with your parents. But the best thing to do when dealing with any sort of adversity in a social form, in my opinion, is to greet it and meet it with positivity. Not to ignore it necessarily, but to just be positive. And I know it sounds silly and it sounds like, oh, he's taking the high road, oh, whatever. But honestly, it's the only thing that actually works. It's true, especially on the internet where you can't pound somebody's face in, right? I'm not advocating you do that in real life either. I'm just saying, where there are seemingly no repercussions, how do you deal with internet trolls and bullies? It's easy. You just respond positively. Ash, go kill yourself. Screw you, I hope you die. Well, hey man, I'm sorry you don't like me. Sorry you don't like the content. But much love. That's it. Because what are they going to respond to? You're totally disarming the person who's trolling you. And that's the beauty of the tactic. They can't, the trolls or bullies or people who are so tough on the internet, but in real life, they're whatever, right? Those type of people, I have no patience for them. But truthfully, the only good response is a positive one. Otherwise, you're just going to fall into their trap and get baited by them. And I'm not going to pretend that I've never gotten baited by somebody. I have. And I've seen the most awful, vile messages ever, ever, ever. If I could even tell you some of the comments that I got on my videos sharing about the loss of my brother, for example. It's just incredibly vile what some people have in their hearts. And it's really an issue with themselves internally, not an issue with you, the person who's on the receiving end. And you have to understand that. Mental health is a big, big, big issue that's largely unaddressed in this world today. I also wanted to touch on something that I talked about on my last Beyond the Mic, and it was about charity. And I did touch on something that I do want to kind of double down on right now. And I touched on the idea of giving charity to where it's most needed. So first of all, giving back to charity. It sounds so cliche. Oh, just do good things for charity. Ha ha ha. But truthfully, we can't take any money with us when we die, right? So it doesn't money is paper. It really is, right? Of course it has meaning. I'm not denying that. And it is currency and it is capital. But the fact that we can save another human's life with a few dollars, it's just this, it goes back to the point I was making earlier, where the lack of grit, and there's also a lack of empathy out there. Everybody deep down thinks about themselves first. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And I don't know why it's become more that way. I don't know. I really don't, you know? Maybe I'm just an old man, you know? It's funny. I was talking to my workout partner this morning at the gym, and I was like, we talked about this. We are such a unique group of people in society today. We are such a unique group. Why? Because we're the last age. We're the last people ever on earth, ever, unless we have the apocalypse, right? Who are going to grow up without internet. Psh, that's crazy. It's almost like growing up without fire, right? Because even if you say grew up without TV, who cares? I mean, TV is definitely revolutionary, don't get me wrong, but not even close to as revolutionary as having everything in the world at the tip of your fingertips on a mobile device, via Google, via whatever your app you're using. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that we can text people. It's crazy to think that we can even call people when we're not at home like it was when I was growing up. If you went to the mall, I'll see you when you get home. You're not going to call me unless you get to a payphone. It's just crazy how many ramifications growing up in the digital age has now that people aren't even aware of, right? It's crazy how fast we've transitioned as a society and the dangers and all the implications of that, and also the positive things. There's good and there's bad with everything. But just thinking of the gravity at the time that we live in today is crazy. And another thing, going back to the kind of individual lack of empathy that I was talking about, is that I don't know why there's such a proximity bias in the world. And this is something I've been working on a lot personally for quite a while, is there is absolutely no more value or meaning to somebody's life who lives in Botswana, I don't know, across the other side of the world than there is for someone who's living in a town next to me. There shouldn't be a proximity bias. In my opinion, it's borderline, I don't know what it is. I don't know what word to use. But the fact that we care more about someone who is, and of course, it's just something that, you know, has been imposed upon us as human beings from evolution, right? Of course, you care more about your own tribesmen than the tribe next to you. But at this point, with the technology that we just spoke about, we don't have those limitations anymore. We should care about every life the same. So if we can save somebody's life just by providing them clean water, we should do that. Even if you're only 16 years old, you just got your first part-time job, what an amazing way to spend your very first paycheck than to save somebody's life by buying them bed nets for mosquitoes to fight against malaria. It's like $60 and you can save somebody's life. If I offered you to save somebody's life from a burning car and all it would cost you is $60 to be given that opportunity to save someone's life, surely you'd take it. But for some reason, we don't do it because it's on the other side of the world and we don't see it with our own eyes, you know? So these are the things that I'm thinking about lately. And I have been donating to the malaria bed net fund myself ever since my last Beyond the Mic video. And I'll set up a link for you guys to check that out. If you want to save a life, go ahead and do so right now. It's pretty cool. And I have nothing to gain from this, but you do. You could save somebody's life. That's really, really, really awesome. That could be the most important thing you do in your entire life. Again, not trying to sound preachy here. Definitely not trying to sound preachy. Furthest thing from it. Just giving you the opportunity to do something that should stay with you forever because it's an amazing opportunity. So that's what's on my mind, guys. This is a Beyond the Mic 3. Cheesy. I'm probably going to change that title. Not going to title it Beyond the Mic 3. But basically, that's where my head is at. That's my life update, except for, how could we forget, Charlie. So I had a son 2 months ago, and I'm just going to be totally honest, because why BS you guys at this point, right? I had a son, and I was hoping it would change everything, replace the all those feelings I was talking about at the top of the episode about my brother, about Sean, and about my mom, and kind of take a new turn towards positivity in my life and good things to be happy about. But it didn't happen. And I'm sure it will. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Charlie, and I love looking at him. I love talking to him. I love holding him. I love everything about him. But I thought it would be like a light switch moment, because everybody tells you, oh, when you have a child, everything is different from that moment on. Boom. And I know I've already had two of those moments in my life. I had my mom and my brother passing, right? So I was thinking, this will probably be that third moment for me where everything's different again and everything's positive all of a sudden. But it didn't happen like a light switch to me, you know? And of course, it's only been like 7 weeks, like I said. So I'm so excited to be a dad. It's something that I've always wanted to do. And I'm getting a little old for it. I'm 35 years old. So I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, but it did. And I'm really, really, really excited to be a father and to be the best father I possibly can, you know? But at the same time, it wasn't a light bulb moment for me. And I hope it is. I hope it's a slow transition into that. But I have to be real with you guys. I'm not going to lie and just say all the cliche things. So that's where I stand right now. I'm still struggling, but I'm still hopefully on the right path and on the right direction to give ultimately my life as much meaning as I can, and those around me as much meaning in their life as I possibly can. And most importantly, what is the purpose of life? I think it's just to have an overall better, a more positive impact than bad. I mean, what else could you ask for? So with that thought, guys, this concludes Beyond the Mic, episode 3, cheesy. Guys, thank you so much, most of all, to all of you for continuing to watch and support the channel. You know, I've covered a few games here in the last 4 years. I'll probably cover more in the future. Who knows where this YouTube channel will go, but I promise you one thing, even if it's not my full-time job, you know, in 10 years from now, I mean, I can't imagine I'll be playing the same games in 10 years from now. And part of it's luck, hitting the right game at the right time. But ultimately, I will maintain my YouTube channel just to touch base with you guys, because I read your comments every single day. 7 days a week, I read your comments. And the amount of positivity that you guys send my way, truthfully, makes as much a positive impact in my life as anything else right now. You know, just reading those comments, it really means a lot to me. It does. So you're doing good as a human being by being kind, you know, those of you who have been doing that. So just wanted to thank you and thank everybody. So guys, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, take care.